What is going on, everybody? Jumbo Thick here, back with more Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, our Rise of the Forsaken campaign. This is our 15th episode, 15 straight episodes of Warhammer Fantasy. Pretty awesome. Definitely the longest running game I've seen of Warhammer Fantasy on YouTube as of yet, but yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. You know, a little praise would be nice. But that's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. As usual, guys, I am your DM for the night, Jumbo Thick, and I am joined once again by my illustrious players, Mr. Jumbo Smooth and Doobie209. If you want to introduce yourselves real quick.
Hey everyone, I'm Jumbo Smooth. I'll be playing the role of Marius Wolf. I'm a prospector, but maybe not for much longer. You know, maybe.
I hope so.
Maybe I get promoted soon.
God, I hope so.
What's going on, everybody? Doobie209 here, and reprising the role of Seamus McGreedy, the ranger that everybody loves.
Yes, of course everyone loves him. Why wouldn't you?
It's just so cool, you know.
Indeed. So, last we left off, our band of adventurers have made it to the Far East, though they probably don't realize where it is. We know it as the illustrious island nations of Nippon. You traveled through some kind of creepy hell tunnel, I believe it was referred to, from the Empire through dubious means, and battled your way through plague and famine and the literal embodiment of plague and the plague bearers, children of the plague lord. Fought your way into the island nation of Nippon, where then you have been set about just surviving the past few days. Seamus has had a rough time of it. He has battled exhaustion constantly throughout this adventure so far. Currently, you don't have any, though, so that's a plus.
Finally.
Yep, finally. It did take a while. You spotted a couple interesting landmarks upon your arrival, as well as a very interesting tree, where you found some men of the Empire hanging by their necks. And there may have been some correlation with certain characters in the party as to what might be going on there. But I'll leave it up to your imaginations as to what happened or what will happen. You then set about just trying to explore, get an idea of your surroundings, try to figure out what the hell you're going to do to get back. And you stumbled upon the beach, where then, through some very unlucky rolls, you stumbled into a Dark Elf ambush of Black Ark Corsairs, who almost killed Seamus in the process. He took a heavy wound to the jaw, still broken, I might add. You're still on the mend. You still have over 30 days of mending time, so we'll talk about healing when we get closer to that. So that still does give you disadvantage on all checks involving your speech. So just remember that. I have it written down for you in case you forget. After you survived that, you were also one night on your way to these fires that you saw off in the distance, possible civilization. You were attacked and mauled by a tiger, Marius Wolf. It was pretty awful. It was large, and it tore into you. And yeah, it was a fun time. It also got away. Then, through yet more bad rolls, you guys ended up stumbling without noticing the encroaching town that you've been seeking after, and were caught in between the gate and yet more dark elves. A very interesting encounter unveiled itself last session at the gate of this village in the mountains, where you both ended up essentially pincushioned and then choosing to jump into a 30-foot drop into a river below you, where also through some very lucky rolls you did not plummet to your deaths, mostly due to the fact of Marius Wolf saving the day, as Seamus was crippled by the fear that he has of just running water in general, and also not being able to swim probably didn't help. You managed to survive the raging river and managed to climb up at the edge as it was falling off into a 100-foot drop down below to the rocks and what's left of the beach and everything down below you guys. You made it up onto the ridge, the same side as the village, I might add. You camped out for the night, very much needing some rest, recovering some of your wounds, and then in the twilight hours, almost morning time, I believe it was you, Seamus, it was you. You discovered the humming noise coming from nearby through a clearing, and you awoke Marius, and you both pursued this kind of bizarre, almost comforting noise to a cave set into the mountain, which was currently being, I'll call it, raided by a group of dark elf corsairs. You guys took them somewhat by surprise, slaughtered 4 of the 6 corsairs. 2 of them did manage to slip away. I might say brutally slaughtered 4 of the 6 corsairs, because it was a very interesting and definite fight in and of itself. I believe some person was drowned at one point. Yes, It was interesting. You did also run into some natives, 2 women inside the cave, as this cave's actually a kind of natural hot spring. And they were currently bathing in the twilight hour. Very kind of strange time to probably be bathing. But we'll come to reasons for that if they're asked. So regardless, you have 2 very much nude women curled up towards the back of this cavern, trying to stay out of sight. You're currently inside the hot spring itself. There is low light in this area, given off from some lanterns and probably almost like a hand lantern that the women brought with them, because the main tunnel that you came through was devoid of light. And you were currently just about to exhale with relief after slaying all the dark elves that you ran through previously, when you heard many, many footsteps approaching from the tunnel in your direction. I believe you both readied yourself to intercept any incoming enemies, and that should be right where we left off. Does that sound right to you guys?
Yep.
It does, yeah.
That's about it. Awesome. So, what are you guys doing in this moment as these thundering footsteps are booming down the hallway? They're not subtle whatsoever. It sounds like a cacophony of footsteps, definitely multiple people or creatures.
Where was I at?
So I believe that Mr. Marius and Seamus are both just standing at the almost like the entrance from the hot spring to the tunnel. So you're just within the almost the entrance of the tunnel going out, if that makes any sense. You're at the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I envisioned us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of look at the women.
Okay.
And just kind of like put my hand up at them, just be and like kind of hold my finger to my mouth in kind of a shushing fashion.
Okay.
And
the women are currently as far away from you as they can be. And they're both holding each other and trying to crouch low in the spring itself. They're still in the water. And they seem to be terrified of you.
Okay, I'm trying to be like not look scary.
Yeah, you are
look at them with hate or anything
in blood. You drowned a man in front of them, It was an elf. I mean, man,
Yeah.
creature, humanoid. You drowned a humanoid in front of them. And you're also wearing very strange contraptions on your body. So yeah, they are, needless to say, they are terrified of your presence right now. So they are they're not even screaming. They're just kind of shaking and trying to like shelter themselves from you.
Yeah. I'm going to try to I realize that they are scared of me, so I'm not going to try to approach them or anything. Mm-hmm. But I'm just going to try to reassure them if I can, with hand gestures, because I know I can't speak their language, So,
okay, go ahead and make me how serious are you about this?
A little bit, just kind of shushing and just putting my hand up, it's gonna be okay,
Yeah, make me a charm roll at minus 20 because you can't verbally speak with them or communicate.
Oh, gee, all right. Are they attracted to me?
Jesus. You know what? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. In the low light, maybe. I don't know. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Rakish smile.
It will be. It'll be. It's. Yeah.
All right. So you said minus 20 though.
Minus 20.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's not very good. That's gonna be a 62 out of 17. Yes.
So regardless, they are still. I mean, they're still in terror. They're not screaming. At least they were.
Okay.
They were screaming when they were being beset by the elves. But seeing you slaughter them, they're not quite sure if you are saviors or if you are going to capitalize on the death of their would-be captors at this moment. So they're still very, very scared of you, and they're just kind of shaking and just kind of keeping their distance.
Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of try to turn back and get ready for whoever's coming.
Okay. How about you, Mr.
I kind
Seamus?
of try to hold them at the bottleneck.
Yeah, I guess I'll just stand there. Crossbow ready.
Crossbow ready. Got it. Do you have it up at the shoulder, pointing it down the tunnel?
Oh yeah. It's ready to go. I got my eyes down the sights.
Okay.
I'm also, before anything else happens, I'm gonna quickly hand Seamus my 4 extra crossbow bolts.
Okay.
Elf crossbow bolts.
Yeah. So he passes you the 4 repeater crossbow bolts. You can go ahead and take them and pocket them or put them in the pouch that you separate your bolts into, at least. Easily enough, Mr. Seamus. And as he passes the bolts over to you, the footsteps are getting closer and closer. And you notice that this tunnel isn't very long. It's maybe 50, 60 feet long, if you remember. And the footsteps getting closer and closer, and you can tell from the light on the outside that there are multiple people inside this tunnel, and they come up short. You can tell that they're probably within 20 feet of you guys. Are you loosing a bolt, Seamus, as they are pushing closer to you?
No.
Okay. All right. So you're still holding steady. Do you guys want to say or do anything?
Can we tell who they are? Or are they covered in shadow?
It's so dark in this tunnel. It's hard to make out. Go ahead and since you don't have dark vision or night vision or anything like that. I'll let you both make me perception checks at minus 30.
I can't even do it then.
You can't do it?
That put me at 0.
It's a very hard check because of the complete darkness.
Yeah, I won't even try then.
Okay, how about you, Seamus?
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Minus
Go
30.
ahead and roll for me.
64 out of 11.
Yep, that's not going to work. Okay, so you have no idea what's coming. You can tell it's multiple people. That's obvious enough, but you're not sure. It could be more Corsairs for all you know. But they keep closing, and then you start hearing someone, you're assuming a person in the lead, calling out in the native language that you heard shouting from the walls that you are trying to get inside of. It sounds very loud and commanding, and I'm not going to do it because, once again, I can't do the voice. Because it is too racist, and we're not going to go there.
Have they walked into the site yet?
They've stopped out of sight, but he's calling out. You're not sure. You have no idea what he's saying. It sounds very harsh tones, though.
Yeah. Can they, from where they're looking, can they see the bodies behind us?
They cannot, actually, because they were off to the sides. Now, they do see you guys covered in blood, and there's blood around your feet right now.
Mm-hmm. Question. Would I intuit that they're asking something particular, or is it just loud?
It's loud and commanding. I will allow you, because you have somewhat experience with this at this point. I'll let you make an intuition test.
Okay.
Just a straight test. It'll be a challenging test.
Okay. Ooh, it's not very good. 49 out of 24.
You have no idea what this man is saying to you. You can tell it's a man. It's obviously one of the natives at this point, judging from the voice that it's coming from.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like a beast or a creature or something like that, though you can't see them right now. You can kind of see, and now that you hear the voice, you can see vague shapes of people. You also are getting vague shapes of weapons being pointed at you, several bows, and it looks like there are several spears being leveled in your direction. You can kind of see just a glint off metal occasionally.
Yeah.
But they are still in the darkness.
Have the women reacted after hearing those voices at all?
Okay. At this point, are you going to glance back at them?
Yeah, I'm going to glance back at them.
Okay, you glance back at them, and they still look terrified. You do notice that they both have very dark black hair. Black as midnight. It's very straight, and even in their nudeness, they're crouched down, and you can tell that one of them appears to be older than the other. Not much older, but slightly older. If you had to guess, you would probably think that these women were probably in their late teens, maybe early 20s. And what you think is the older one begins to speak as well, though not as loud. Just almost just regular talking voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. She kind of is speaking in your direction, therefore towards the tunnel, towards the voices calling out.
I might back up a little bit. Just kind of
Okay.
like backing up just a smidge,
Okay.
see what the reaction is if I start to slowly back up.
How about you, Seamus?
I probably put my hands up in the air.
Okay, so you lower the
not dropping
crossbow.
my weapon though. I'm gonna hold it up in the air, but I'm gonna have my hands up, like don't shoot.
Okay. So you kind of hold your hands up, holding the crossbow above you. Do you back up as well?
Yeah, I'll see Marius backing up and then slowly start scooting back.
Okay. You both start kind of backing away from the tunnel, and slowly, very slowly, like a few minutes pass, and you guys are just uncomfortably standing there. And the women are getting a little more bold. If you were looking behind you or glancing in their direction, they actually pull themselves out of the pool and very quickly gather up their clothing and begin putting it on. And they are talking more casually now at this point. And figures start to emerge from the darkness, and these are definitely the men of Nippon. You recognize the lead figure as a very large, imposing man comes walking into view. He has a skin draped around his shoulders. It is definitely that of a tiger of some kind. It's a striped animal skin, very similar to the one that attacked you previously in the night. He also has a very large sword dangling from his hip. You get the idea that it might even be a two-handed sword. Seamus, you'd have a little more experience with weaponry than Marius does. And it looks oddly similar to the weapon that you have, the dagger that you've so dubiously named the Shadow Dagger for some reason. It seems to be of the same aesthetic, but you get the idea that it is a very large two-handed version of whatever you have. And he does not have any armor on like you saw earlier. He's in just a plain, almost like silk. It looks like silk kind of robes to you guys, since you guys have no idea what the hell a kimono is. So they would just kind of look like strange cloth, almost silk clothing to the two of you, to Marius and Seamus, that is. But us as players know they are, in fact, kimonos. But they are not wearing the wooden armor that you saw previously. It appears that they got up in quite a hurry to get over here after the alarm was sounded at some point. More than likely due to the dark elf screaming that you butchered in the woods just outside of the cave. So that might have been the defining moment. But they came rushing here, and he comes into view, and he has his hand on the hilt of his sword, and he just kind of looks both of you over, and you notice that he's a balding man. His hair he's kind of has that widow's peak pattern. His hair is long though. It's shoulder length. It is graying, but it looks like it also is a dark black color, similar to the women you have just met. And slowly he comes into view and kind of looks both of you over, and he gets close enough that he can kind of glance around the corner, and he can see the body of the dark elf, and of course the one now floating in the hot spring, which is quickly turning red with blood. And he takes note of that and kind of just not being able to speak with you, realizing that you are definitely foreigners. He will just kind of incline his head towards the both of you, and then his men come in behind him, and they start fanning out into the hot spring. You count a total of 12 men come into this hot spring, including the leader. And they are also in a similar dress, though none of them have the skin, the tiger skin, draped around their shoulders. They're all about the same height. Marius, they're actually shorter than you. They're all around 5'6", 5'4". So you got a couple inches on these guys. It's a little nice.
Yeah.
You would be average height in the Empire, but Seamus, you seem very tall to these people. It's almost a little. It's just a new experience being around people these short that aren't like dwarves or halflings or something like that, as they are obviously humans. Though they do have interesting features that you've never seen in the Empire before. So what are you guys doing as they begin fanning out?
Do I see the archer who shot me in the chest?
You, in fact, now I will say this. In the heat of the moment, you might not recognize said archer. You do see there are two archers with this company of men. They do not have their bows drawn anymore. They have them kind of stowed over the shoulder, and the arrows are back in their quivers. And you do notice that these bows are extremely long. You've heard of long bows before, but they appear to be almost as tall as the men carrying them. They're very, very long, and they're very thin. They're made out of some kind of strange material. You're not sure what it is. It's definitely a type of wood, but you've never seen something so elegant like this. And they have these kind of strange red feathers at the tops and bottoms of them. But you would probably assume, Marius would assume at least, that these might be the two men that were stationed above the wall when you attempted to gain entry earlier this day.
Do I still have a scar from my arrow shot?
Well, your leather piece is ripped asunder, and so you ditched that. I'm assuming you probably just stowed it in your pack since it was all but useless now. And I would say yes, since you don't have a lot of bandages, that you probably do have a pretty deep wound in your chest that definitely you probably have a large red stain on your peasant shirt that you have underneath your armor.
I want to kind of lift up my shirt a little and bare my wound and kind of like put it down real quick and kind of try to glance at the archer to see if anyone makes like a flinch or a twitch. Or
Is this like an intimidation? What are you going for here?
It's not really intimidating. It's just I don't know what it is. It's just like I'm upset.
You know what it is? You just want to figure out who it is. I
want to figure out who it is.
You can make me a straight intuition test.
Okay. That is a 19 out of 24.
Okay, all right. So you kind of lift your shirt a little bit, exposing the plethora of wounds you have, but specifically the new, fresh, gaping wound where you pulled the arrow from your body very violently, I might add. Still probably bleeding a little bit due to the movements and everything that you've had to do in combat. And you get just a subtle nod, or not even a nod. You get just a little bit of almost like they glance away for a second of the archer to the right of the leader. He just kind of glances away for a second and glances back, and you get the idea that this is probably the man that shot you. At the behest of his leader, I might add. But he doesn't see. He doesn't appear to be. There doesn't appear to be any malice or anything behind his actions.
All right. Well, I guess I'll kind of take my pick and kind of not lay it down, but like put the pointy end at the bottom. Kind of lay it. Like put it head down on the ground and have my hand on the end of it.
Okay.
So just kind of resting on the ground.
No problem. As you do that, the leader just kind of looks to his men, and then he motions over to his right towards the women, and you see a few of them come and collect the women, and then usher them past you, and then out through the tunnel. Then they begin grabbing the bodies. The rest of the men start grabbing the bodies. All the while, the leader is just laser focused on the both of you. Are you going to move at all, or are you just going to stand there?
I'm probably just going to stand there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably do the same.
No problem. You're still, and he's just kind of, he's like, if this was a staring contest, he would definitely be winning. There is no movement in these eyes. He's just locked on the two of you. And the archers are likewise still standing next to him, but they aren't making any aggressive actions to you. The rest of the men begin pulling. Let's roll for it. It takes it takes them a little while to get the body of the elf out of the hot spring. He kind of keeps floating away from them as they try to grab his ankles, and they finally hook him and then drag him out of the hot spring. They easily collect the other body that Seamus left unceremoniously nearby. And they they hoist them up on their shoulders between several men and begin walking them out of the tunnel as well. At this point, the leader tilts his head, kind of in an interesting kind of look at you specifically, Marius, because he recognizes you for sure. And there's a bit of an understanding that comes between the two of you, just almost like a respect. And he lowers his head. He bends at the waist, lowers his head, and clasps his hands together, and almost like a praying motion, and gives you a bow, and then sits up straight again.
Marius just kind of nods at him.
Okay,
Yeah.
You just kind of give him a nod, and he looks like he's sitting there expecting something from you, but then quickly realizes that you have no idea the customs of this land, and he motions for the two archers to do something, and they turn around and start walking out, and he points at you two and then motions towards the tunnel, essentially asking you to come with him.
All right.
I looked towards Seamus and was like, Seamus, you think it's safe?
Well, they haven't killed us yet. Might as well go.
That's true. They haven't killed you yet.
They did try. Let's go, I guess. So start following.
You start following the leader of the fighting men, at least. You exit the cavern, and as you exit, you do notice that most of the soldiers or men, whatever they were, are not present. It appears that they've moved away from this area. And you do notice, if you glance to your left and right, that the corpses of the other elves that you slayed are also not here. They have been gathered as well.
Is he looking at us?
He glances over his shoulder occasionally to make sure you're following, but he's not like walking beside you or behind you. He's letting you follow him.
Can I kind of point at my ears when he looks at me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to point at my ears and kind of make an elongated motion.
Okay.
So I kind of do that, and then I would like to put two of my fingers up.
All right.
And then point towards the forest where those two elves ran away.
Where they ran off. Okay. And you do this. Let's see here.
If I had an elf to point at, I was
give
hoping
me
there'd be an elf
I know.
but...
give me a leadership test at -20.
-20?
-20.
Okay. Oh, gee. Damn it. It's gonna be 37 out of 17.
Okay. Well,
37. So 37 is my leadership. Damn it.
Yep. You were 20. Yeah, that sucks. So he just because you can't, if you could speak the language, it would have been fine. But all right.
Yeah.
So he kind of looks at you, and he's almost given up on trying to understand what you're saying or what you're trying to communicate. And he just kind of shakes his head, almost like in a no kind of fashion, and then keeps walking. And you guys are passing through the clearing that you were camped nearby earlier. There appears to be a very subtle path winding down. It appears that you guys are kind of up towards a almost like a hill towards what's going to be the base of a mountain, which is where the cave was, the entrance to the hot spring. And you are now gradually moving downhill. You make it through a clearing, and then before you on this hill, you suddenly see the makeup of a small village. This is definitely a somewhat bastion of civilization, at least the most that you've seen so far in this forsaken land. There are, it appears, they're not quite huts, but they're not quite houses either. They are made of wood, and they appear to be made out of not just regular wood, but also some of the wood used in some of the more finer details. There are a lot of artistic aesthetic that is put into these houses as well. There's a lot more artistry than there is function, if that makes any sense. Looks like these people pride themselves in appearances, for sure. There is also use of bamboo, some of that strange wood you've also found in the forest nearby. And, of course, various silks and strange-looking metals that you kind of see crafted into certain aspects of these houses. There are lines, almost like closed lines, that appear to be empty because of the very, very early hour that you are arriving. You don't see any people milling about in the town. There are obviously places where animals can be harvested and tanned. You also see a large, almost like set of stalls that, judging from the smell wafting from that direction, appears that fish are kept and laid out and processed at some point in time. There are not a lot of people around, though there are lanterns out, and there were in fact a few lanterns on your way here, marking a path. The lanterns are made out of paper. Very similar to the ones that you saw outside of the exit of the hell tunnel that got you guys here. So they're of a very similar style, though these aren't blue and gold, I believe, were the ones that you found. These are just orange kind of lanterns. There's an orange light coming out of them. Though you do see blue and gold silk kind of draped from some of the houses and kind of interesting designs. And there are wind chimes and various other knickknacks and things about little areas around these houses, each making them slightly more unique. So you can kind of point out a few different houses and whatnot. One of the houses is slightly larger than the other ones. And the leader is walking towards said house. At this point, are you guys going to enter the village, or are you going to stop short and do something?
I will enter.
Okay, how about you, Marius?
Yeah, I'll probably follow as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow as well.
Continue to follow, and as you actually enter into the actual town itself, you feel a bit of a tingling sensation as you cross some kind of barrier. You're not sure what it was, but you both have a bit of a tingling sensation on your skin. Both of you go ahead and make me perception checks.
Okay. Oh, mine's 70 out of 30. Starting off strong today.
Hell yeah, real strong.
I got a 15 out of 51.
Hell yeah, Seamus coming in to save the day. So, Marius is just enthralled with, there's just all kinds of interesting sights. The windows of the houses appear to not have glass panes. They appear to have, it looks like paper. Thin pieces of paper, and they give off an eerie light from the inside of where the people are getting up, and you can hear people kind of starting their morning routines and whatnot. And it's just a very interesting sight. There's all new sights and sounds and smells, and you're just kind of enthralled with the environment around you. You barely even notice the slight tingling sensation. But Seamus, however, being on guard after the events that have taken place in this land, you definitely feel it, and you glance down, and you don't see anything, though you do see basically the inside of this village is primarily dirt, just packed earth. No cobblestones or anything like that, though you do see occasionally wooden planks that mark very frequented paths that are kind of lumped together to give people more footing to walk across. And there's obviously sections of these streets where horses or something equivalent of horses, you haven't seen any horses yet, can draw a wagon of some kind, perhaps. But you, Seamus, look over to your left and to your right, and you notice that the packed earth ends right where you just crossed apparently some kind of invisible barrier. And the moss and kind of forest undergrowth that you have seen throughout this entire land so far reaches to this barrier that you just passed and just stops, almost like it can't grow any further.
I'll kind of motion to Marius, kind of point down at the ground in that spot and see if he notices it.
And Marius, with his horrible perception check, just kind of, you nudge him and he kind of looks down and he kind of just shakes his head. And I'm assuming he just keeps following the leader of the men.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you begin following this man. And at this point, the sun is well up. The sun is up and people are coming out of their houses now, and they're kind of gawking. There are a few children kind of look at the two of you very strangely, and they're kind of just looking at the two of you. You look like no men they have ever seen before, especially with your very fashionable cloaks that you picked up off the Dark Elves. I might add, they do add a bit of mystery to the men. And then, of course, there's Marius wearing a miner's helmet with a candle on top of it, in conjunction with his wooden pauldrons that he has on. So he just looks like a freak in general. But the locals are a bit taken aback by the sight of these strange men amongst them. And the leader kind of motions for you guys to come into this house. You come to this doorway, and it doesn't open. The door doesn't open. He reaches up and grasps a handle and pushes to the side, and the door slides into the wall. Neither of you have ever seen a door like this before. You've never seen a sliding door. But he slides it away and then motions for both of you inside.
All right, I'll walk in, kind of an amazed look, I guess, on my face from seeing that.
Mm-hmm. As you both walk in, he begins removing his shoes and leaves them in these kind of cubbies next to the next to the door. And he kind of inclines his head towards what appears to be some kind of shrine. Also has that kind of blue and gold motifs kind of painted around it. And there is a large depiction of some kind of raven of some kind carved into the kind of stonework of this motif that is decorating his entryway. And he lights a stick, which you both would recognize as some kind of incense, and offers a brief prayer and then steps inside and doesn't even look back to see what you two are doing.
Well, I will take off my shoes.
How about you, Marius Wolf?
I probably see Seamus doing it and probably do it myself.
Okay. You both remove your shoes, put them in the cubbies, and you follow in. The first thing you notice, just the walls don't appear to be made of wood. They also appear to be made out of stretch sheets of paper, large sheets of paper. It looks like some of them are made of wood, like the outside walls appear to be wooden, but most of these inside walls are just paper thin, literally. You can almost see through them. It's kind of unnerving. The floors as well are made out of some kind of mat, almost like carpeting, if you guys have ever experienced carpeting, which you have actually at the governor's mansion. So you would kind of know that feeling, and it's got a bit of a spring to it. It's kind of soft, but also very, very foreign and different for the two of you. You walk into the main room of this house, and you see the leader here. He is currently on his knees, and he begins placing himself in a more comfortable position, sitting, and he motions for the two of you in front of him, and there are two pillows, very flat, kind of square-shaped pillows, that he motions for the two of you.
Yep, I'm basically going to copy everything this guy does.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
So the both of you kind of sit down and you cross your legs and sit like he does, and he looks pleased. And out of the corner of your eye, Seamus, off to your right, you see a flicker of movement, and another wall moves. It is a doorway, but to you it looks like a wall just moved and slides once again. And a rather old, elderly woman comes walking in with her head down. She's wearing strange clothing, the kind of kimono. This one is a vibrant white color with kind of gold embolized along the cuffs and the neckline. And she's holding a tray of some kind, and she kind of shuffles her way to the two of you and places two plates before you. The plates contain, if you were to look down at them, there is steaming hot soup of some kind. You're not sure what it is, but it smells delicious. There are also thin slices of meat that appear to be rolled in some kind of strange white grain that me and you both know as rice. But Marius and Seamus have no idea what the hell rice is. So this is the best I could do here. Now, there is no silverware placed before you. There's also, it appears to be hot tea at the ready as she's pouring and placing them. And a meal is also brought for the man that you followed in here.
Has he started eating it?
Yeah.
He's kind of just looking at the two of you, interesting to see what you guys will do.
I'm just going to look back at him.
Okay, you both just sit there staring at each other. It's very uncomfortable. Marius, what are you doing?
I probably would have said thank you to the woman.
Okay, you said thank you, and she kind of just doesn't acknowledge you, and then just shuffles away with her empty tray.
Okay. I kind of look at the older gentleman, and kind of look back down at the soup and kind of like gesture my hand and like kind of see if it's okay to eat, you know, if I like. And
he tilts his head, giving you the idea that it's fine.
Okay. Then I will begin to try to eat this food. Do I have any utensils?
There are no silverware. There is no silverware present. The only thing is there appears to be two sticks.
Interesting.
You just look at them and you have no idea what the hell they're there for.
And you said there was soup and that was it, or tea?
There's soup and then there is the meat kind of rolled in essentially rice.
Okay. I will try to take the sticks and stab said meat.
Stab it. And for stabbing it, I won't make you roll anything. So you just take the sticks and you stab it into the into the rolls. And he just looks interested. He's just kind of staring at you, and you begin chewing the meat. It's actually rather tasty. The kind of white kind of grain, however, has almost no flavor. It's It's kind of strange, almost like very bland bread is what would be the equivalent of what you've had before. And the meat, however, is pretty good. You're not sure what it's seasoned with, but it's not bad.
All right, then I will eat that, and I guess kind of grab the soup bowl and kind of slurp it. You know?
Yes, and you slurp the bowl, and he also looks interested as you do this. It appears to be that he wanted to see what you would do, and as you do that, he takes the sticks and he begins eating his food very dexterously, like a true man of the East, utilizing the chopsticks appropriately and eating with them thoroughly.
I'll try to mimic if I can the
as you see him doing it. Go ahead and make me a dexterity check.
All right.
To see how well you do.
Dexes. All right.
Ooh, I did very well.
Ooh,
Okay.
I did very poorly.
What did you get?
65 out of 37.
Marius, you are attempting to mimic him, and it is not going well. You begin trying, and every time you pinch the meat, it just slips out of the sticks, and you get a little bit of a chuckle from him. It's the most emotion you've ever seen pass through this man so far. Seamus, what did you end up rolling?
I rolled a 17 out of 30.
Okay, all right, good, yeah. So Seamus, you actually begin attempting to you get a good grip on this meat, and you go to open your mouth and you realize, holy shit, my jaw hurts. And you place the food in your mouth and you realize you can't chew it. So it's just sitting in your mouth right now with all the rice covering it, soaking in, and you can't chew it. So you're just sitting there staring at this guy, and he just looks at you because he was very surprised that you picked up on the chopsticks. But what do you do now that you have meat in your mouth and can't chew it?
I will slurp the soup.
So you just go with the meat still in your mouth. You're trying to not choke on it, and you
Swallow it.
so you just kind of use that to swallow. That's fantastic. Got it. So you manage to, with the aid of that, you get most of it down, though it hurts a little bit. It gets stuck in your throat for a second. You go, but you get it all down. So you guys finish your meals, and he motions for a room to the side and just kind of nods to the two of you. He stands up and he walks out. Do you follow him, or what are you guys doing in this moment?
Did it look like he expected us to follow him?
It appears like he's leaving this house, but he motioned for a room off to your left.
Oh. Then I guess we'll go to the room to the left.
Yeah, I'll pick up my tea and take that with me to this room.
Okay. All right. You guys move to the door that you now realize it's a door. And who's going to open the door? I'm just curious.
I'll open it.
Okay. All right. So, Seamus, you're a perceptive man. You pick out the door. You don't just try to plunge your hands through a wall like Marius might have. And you pick out the door and you slide it. And you see a very plain room, very similar to the one you were in, though much smaller, of course. There are two mats on the floor. And there looks like there's a spot in the center where there was probably a low fire the previous night. There's small coal embers in the center. There's also a window that is covered, and there's some of the morning light spilling in. But that's it in that room. It's very plain.
Mm-hmm.
You guys entering, or what are you doing?
This is still early morning, right?
It's probably 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Guess go in the room. Try to patch up our numerous wounds,
Okay. So you enter into the room. You've had a decent morning meal, and you kind of sit down. Do you sit on the mats, or do you guys just kind of camp out around the kind of embered fire that's in there?
I'd probably get by the fire.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Kind of take your places around there, and just kind of do your thing. Is there anything in particular you guys want to do, or do you want to take a short rest?
I take a short rest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do a short rest.
All right. So you guys can easily take a short rest. Go ahead and mark down. You get your toughness bonus and wounds back. And you rest here. How long will you guys want to rest for? Let's put it like that. You need an hour minimum, but you can go as long as you like, really.
Yeah, probably an hour, unless like someone's gonna come get us before then.
Okay. All right.
If they don't, yeah.
Yeah. So an hour passes. Do you guys want to leave after an hour, or what are you doing? This puts you around. We'll call it 10 o'clock.
I would probably at least leave that room after the hour.
Okay, so you're in there for about
me
an
too.
hour. You get up and you go to leave. You open the door, and there are 2 guards standing at the door in their full armor, which isn't covering them from head to toe. These are just like the haphazard, almost like the pauldrons and the chest piece. They're not fully covering the individual like you've seen in the past on several of the other people of this land. But they have spears, and they have them crossed in front of the doorway. They're not looking in your direction. They have their backs to you.
Also, excuse me, and try to walk in between them.
As you try to walk in between them, they crash them together, making a loud noise.
Cool. I'll take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Look over to Maris. Don't think they want us to go anywhere.
Seamus, your voice sounds so much better. Oh, you had a broken jaw.
Yeah.
He can speak. He can speak like normal.
The DM
Okay.
told me that I can speak normally.
He can speak normally.
Okay. I was enjoying the broken jaw.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was not.
I was not either.
Sorry, what'd you say? I was kind of focused on you speaking. Come again.
So he basically just informed you that they don't want you to leave.
Let me try, Seamus.
Yes.
I've got a way with people. And I
Their
kinda
backs are
step
to
up
us,
a bit.
right?
Yeah, their backs are to you, so they're not looking in your direction.
Okay.
They just have them closed, or they have their spears crossed.
I just kind of go up and, friends, we just want to go for a stroll. Surely you can understand that. And I kind of push myself towards the exit.
Okay. As you do, they once again crash the spears together in a warning.
Seamus, you're
Why don't you
right.
try
These aren't really friendly people.
Maris, why don't you try one more time?
Maybe you're right. I try to put my hand on one of them, friend, just kind of pat him on the shoulder.
On the shoulder.
You know?
So as soon as
Yeah.
you touch him, his pauldron that he's wearing, he shifts, and the spear comes up under your chin. And now
shit.
he's looking at you full, and then the second one does the same thing, and they start start yelling in their language, very racistly. Which will have to also be edited out. Damn it!
Damn it! No. Censorship. I'm just gonna be like, whoa, whoa, and trying to smile, look charming.
Okay.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They don't press the issue, but
Yeah.
They move back to where they were and turn their backs to you once again, and just cross their spears again.
Oh.
Well,
Can we get a drink, lads?
There is no response.
Oh, this place is some type of hell, isn't it, James?
all of this for a silver piece.
Oh God! No, I'd probably just kind of turn around and just kind of sit down again.
Okay. All right.
Kind of waiting.
All right. Several hours pass of you guys just sitting in this room.
Can I get several hours of
several
short rests?
hours? Well, it would. No, you don't. You only get one short rest.
What?
You're not getting another short rest. Several hours pass though of you kind of just in this room, kind of occasionally attempting to engage with the guards that have been placed at the door, and they are stoic. They don't speak to you outside of that one instance of when you apparently were a little too aggressive for them, and they are quiet. Do you leave the door open? Or do you close the door?
I would like to leave it open and talk to him periodically.
Okay. Yeah. You just leave the door open. You don't see any movement outside the door into the main room. Nothing. You can hear outside. You can hear children playing. You hear women kind of chattering to each other. Occasionally, some men screaming at each other. Nothing too out of the norm of just your average day in a village. And several more hours pass, and it is now in the afternoon sometime. You have not left this room, and at this point in time, a woman actually comes. You hear them approaching, and the guards finally move. You have no idea how the hell they've been standing still for so long. It's not normal. But they uncross their spears, and a woman in also a very fine kimono, a similar style to the elderly woman that you saw earlier. Though Marius, you would recognize her almost immediately. She is one of the women that you saw at the hot spring. She appears to be the older one. She has very long, dark black hair. It almost goes down to her hips. It's very straight. There is some kind of jewelry pinned in her hair. Looks like some kind of sticks. You're not quite sure what the fashion sense is in this place. She has almost like a silk, almost like veil draped around her head and her shoulders. It's see-through. It's opaque in nature. And she comes trudging up and says something to both of the guards, and they clash their spears into the ground of the mats of the main living area, and then walk out of the house. And she's sitting there just looking. Well, she's not sitting there. She's standing in the doorway looking at the two of you. And she nods to both of you. You would notice that her face is extremely pale, except for her cheeks appear to be very, very rosy. And you both get the idea that she's wearing some kind of makeup, though none that you've ever seen before. And she motions for you guys to follow her outside.
All right.
Seamus eagerly gets up and starts to go.
Okay, eagerly.
Tired of being in that room.
Tired of being in this room. I wouldn't want to be in that room either.
Yeah.
So you both stand up, Gotta stretch your legs, stretch your back. Oh, gather your belongings. Speaking of your belongings, you never
Is
retrieved
there any
them.
food on that table?
Any food on the table outside? No, it has been cleared. It has been cleared. At some point in time, it was cleared. There's nothing left. But the two of you, if you remember correctly, last night, you left the majority of your belongings outside of your necessities to explore the cavern, and they were never collected. So they are not with you.
Damn it.
Just
We
so
can go
you
get
know.
those back.
So basically what you guys have is what you would need for a fight. That's what I'm going to assume. Most of your camping gear, I'm going to say probably most of your rations and things like that are not with you. They
My
are
Bugmans?
gone. Do you keep your Bugmans on you in battle?
I like to think so.
Well, then I will let you keep your Bugmans.
What about my tar kegs?
I will also
My
let you
SD
guys
card
keep
keg.
anything that you could use during battle, essentially. But all of your
I still have
camping
the
equipment
mask,
and
so-
everything is gone. Yes, you do have the mask because you were wearing it.
We can find our camping stuff again.
So your camping stuff is out in the wilderness somewhere. Seamus could probably find it easily enough, judging by the route you guys took to and from. You're within an hour or two of your camping site, so it's not that big a deal. Or probably less than that. Probably like 20, 30 minutes, if even. Regardless, you begin walking outside following this woman, and you step out and you notice that it is now the afternoon. The sun is going down, and the lanterns have all been lit throughout the various wires that crisscross the houses out in the entryway here. And you can see that there are a ton of people here. Well, not a ton. You probably see somewhere between 60 to 80 people present. Of that 80 people, about 15, maybe 20 of them appear to be wearing armor that you would recognize as probably some kind of protectors or guardians or something of that sort, kind of milling about in the crowd. You see the two archers off in the distance, and they are accompanying that same older gentleman who, now that you get a good look at the people in the area, you can tell that he is much older. He has a very interesting goatee and like mustache that drapes far down past his chin, probably a solid 6 to 7 inches, and it's very, very straight and thin. And it just kind of blows in like the light breeze that's kind of wafting through the mountains here as the sun goes down and the stars are starting to light up. It's a very pleasant sight. You also notice that some of the women to your right are playing some kind of music on a very strange looking instrument. And it is a very interesting tune. It sounds nice, and it sounds familiar, and sounds oddly like the humming you heard last night.
Mm.
Kind of nod at him, ladies.
Of course. And she motions for you guys to follow her, and she leads you through the crowd and through. There's plenty of people still gawking at you to the leader of the town, and he makes eye contact with both of you, nods respectively to both of you. Do you
Nod
do
back.
the same? You nod back. Okay, yes. You return the favor, and then he essentially sits down at almost like a table that has been laid out for the two of you. You appear to be esteemed guests at what is, from all that you can tell, some kind of festival or party in your honor.
Oh.
All
So,
right.
do you two take seats?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
So you two sit down, and the music is playing, and a lot of the people are talking, and drinks are brought to the two of you. It's very thick, dark liquid inside of a strange cup, a clay cup, put at both of your sides, as well as very hefty helpings of fish, and of course more soup. And the interesting thing, soup is brought to Seamus, and fish is brought to Marius.
All right.
Okay.
I'll eat it.
You begin eating the fish. You begin eating the fish. How do you eat it? Do you just grab it by its tail and begin chewing? Because there's no silverware once again.
Are there the sticks?
It's the sticks.
I stab.
You stab it in, and you just begin chewing on it like a kebab. It's very efficient.
Yeah.
And you get quite a few chuckles from some of the kids. They kind of point at you, and in my language that I'm not going to say again, they gibber something, and some of the adults laugh. Seamus,
I kind of crack them a smile, like, oh.
Yeah, you give them a little smile. They seem a little interested. Seamus, I'm assuming you begin drinking your soup.
Yep, I'll slurp the soup.
You slurp the soup. It's just as good as it was before. This one has a hint of onion of some kind.
Oh.
It's very delicious, very warm and hot. You guys get a full meal in. Do you taste the beverage?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you both incline the beverage, and when you grasp the cup, the gentleman that you're sitting with, the older gentleman, who appears, from what you can tell by the surroundings and how people treat him, appears to be the village elder in some capacity, at least from what makes sense to the two of you and your experience with people in your own land. And he, as you take your cups, he also takes his and kind of nods to the two of you and drinks with you.
All right.
So as you drink this very hot, and I will say this, it is a hot drink, which is unusual because as soon as it touches your tongue, you can both tell that it is very much alcoholic in nature, though it is unlike anything you have ever tasted. It is sweet, very sweet, with just a twinge of bitterness as it burns down your throat. The closest that you could probably come to Marius, actually Seamus too, is the Gorilica that you both tried, the almost vodka-like substance of the Kislevite nation. It is close to that, but more of a fruity kind of taste to it. It's essentially hot sake. This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You're drinking hot sake.
Yeah.
So you both drink it. It's a very unique experience for both of you. It's very good and very warm. So do you guys take them both back?
Yes.
Okay, you both have a
sake.
hardy enough constitution that you're not going to have to worry about one drink. But you both take it back, and you can tell there's a warmth, and it's definitely alcoholic. So you guys can both make note of that mentally. Seamus and Marius would at least. Put it down, and the elder kind of motions to Seamus, and 4 women walk up to you, Seamus. They appear to be younger women, younger than you, though not like children by any means. And they all have little smirks on their faces. And one of them grabs you by the shoulder and is trying to pull you out into the crowd, where it looks like some kind of dance floor has been cleared. And some of the people are now dancing to a more rhythmic tune that's being played.
I get up and go along with it.
All right, and you tower over these women. You're a solid foot or more taller than every woman here. That's kind of pulling you out there, and they're all kind of giggling. and you, do you begin dancing?
I do. I try.
Make me that performance check.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Bernie. Performance. What does that fall under?
That, my good friend, falls under... Let me make sure, because I want to say one thing, but I don't know.
Because I don't have the skill.
It falls under agility. Perform.
Oh, well, I rolled a 58 out of 27.
Yes. It is. So, Marius, if you're kind of glance at, at the spectacle that is about to take place, as Seamus begins drinking, especially when he is prepositioned by a lovely lady, he cannot resist the women, apparently. You glance over your shoulder and you see him just completely make a fool of himself. It's horrible to watch. It's a train wreck. It's just, there's a lot of awkward, hip movement. He just seems off from the rest of the people, and a lot of the other patrons at this dance floor are laughing openly at his moves. But, most of the women are just trying to help him kind of get into it, kind of do this dance that they're attempting, but he is not getting it whatsoever. He's all feet.
It's very Jean-Claude from Kickboxer style.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that is a very good representation of what is happening right now. So it's shameful to watch. It hurts you to see it, Marius.
I say, you're doing great, Seamus. You're natural.
I give him the thumbs up.
Yes, give him a thumbs up. And
I look at.
Go ahead.
Is the leader's cup empty? Is his little cup of sake?
It is not empty. As a matter of fact, it appears that it's been refilled, and so has yours.
Well, I'd like to drink it and see if he drinks it.
Okay. You go to drink it, and he doesn't drink his.
Damn it. Well, I kind of motion him to drink the drink.
Okay, you motion down, and he kind of looks at you and kind of gives a little bit of a chuckle, and then he drinks his.
Okay. With this empty cup available, I will whip out my Bugmans.
Okay. Okay.
And I kind of gesture towards him to hand me the glass.
Mm-hmm. All right, and he kind of nods his head, and he passes his kind of clay glass over to you.
And I take my tankard and I kind of pour it. Just so I probably just half, just so I don't know if
Okay,
trusting,
you pour half into this.
Half,
got it. All right,
half into both their cups.
What about the other half? The other half in yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just just like half a one full use
yeah,
of it,
exactly.
Half each.
Yeah, I get what you're doing.
Kind of motion towards him to drink it.
He nods his head in deference to you, and then he drinks it. Let's roll here. Ooh. Okay. I need you to roll a test as well, sir. After you've had two hearty drinks, and then you just had a bit of a taste of Bugman's ale.
That is a 23 out of 50.
Okay, so you take it back. You're used to this. You're used to drinking this stuff. It is delicious. It's fantastic. It warms your belly, and after the meal you just had, you feel like overfull. Like you ate way too much food now. It's just your stomach is heavy. The effects of Bugman's Ale will only affect you for half the time, for only drinking half the beverage. But just make a note of that if you need to.
I will.
At this point in time, I mean, it's dark now. It's dark. The stars are out. We're in full-on party mode at this moment. And he tips his glass back. He tips it back, and some of it runs down the side of his mouth. You see his face instantly turn bright red. Instantly. And he looks a little unsteady, Marius, from across the table.
Does he like it?
You see his face. He's got a big, large smile across his face. he slams the cup down on the table and shouts something out, and then all the people in the crowd shout it as well. And his face is completely beet red, and he goes to stand up, and then he just face plants into the table, completely unconscious. He just loses consciousness.
Is he all right?
And one of the nearby guards runs over and like, oh, damn it! I did it again. Shit. One of the guards runs over and starts shaking him, and then you just hear snoring, and they kind of start laughing. Everybody starts laughing around there. He's obviously beyond drunk at this point.
What a night.
So yeah, he's unconscious at this point, and you guys can stay at this for as long as you want. Is there anything you would like to do while you're a part of this festival?
Is there people playing music?
There are people playing music. There's kind of strange instruments a few of the women have. At this point, a few of the men have kind of taken up like some very simple looking drums.
Is there any like a flute like instruments?
There's something close. Yes. Close enough.
Kind of gesture to that person and see if they'll let me play it.
Oh, God. So you make a gesture to play this very strange foreign instrument, and the lady in question kind of just gives a little, she kind of covers her mouth with one hand and gives a little giggle and then hands it over to you. And a few of the other women that have been following you around at this point kind of are looking on very expectantly. Make me a performance check at -20 to see how well this goes.
Shit. Well, I failed.
How bad did you fail?
Shocker.
It was a 51 out of 7.
Yes. That's what I thought. So, you bring this to your lips, and this horrendous noise begins issuing forth out of it. It's horrible. It's screeching. Marius, you're getting a little drunk at this point, Marius, and you kind of look over, you're like, oh, God. And Seamus is just over there making a fool of himself once again. The rest of the band gets quiet, and they all just kind of look at you, and you're just in the zone. You're in the moment, just going to town on what you think is fantastic music.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah, you're having a pretty good time at this point. So, do you just keep playing, or do you do like a sick little like number and then you give it back, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, I'll do a little number and give it back, and then get back to my Jean-Claude dancing.
Yes, you give it back, and everybody starts kind of clapping and all that. It's at this point that a woman finds you, Marius, and a woman finds you, Seamus. 2 different women. You both recognize them. Marius, the one that approaches you, is the same one from the leader's house, the village elder's house. And Seamus, this one you recognize as the younger woman that was with the other one in the hot spring the previous night. They both grasp you by the hand and begin pulling you towards the leader's house.
All right.
You just let it happen.
I will follow.
Yeah,
okay.
Well,
You're both a little drunk at this point. You begin being pulled by your hands towards the leader's house. You kind of stumble in. They take off their shoes and they're kind of giggling to each other. You get into the main room. Do you guys take your shoes off and everything? Do the whole number?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You enter into the main little village area, or the main area of this house, and they both begin slipping the kimonos from their shoulders, exposing their bare flesh. They're not naked, just exposing it. They're still clothed.
Are
Go
they
ahead.
in the process of declothing?
In the process, it looks like, and as they're doing this, Seamus.
Marius is gonna be like,
At this point, you guys have had a pretty good time. I need both of you to make me cool tests.
okay,
Oh, cool test.
we can seduce Marius Wolf.
Oh. That is a 1.
Damn. Okay, so Seamus is definitely full of his faculties. He's been drinking and dancing, and he appears to maybe danced off most of the booze. But you're not. You might be tempted by what's happening, but you're not unwillingly tempted by what's happening. How about you, Marius?
I rolled an 18 out of 60.
Okay, so yeah, you likewise, Marius. I mean, you're Marius Wolf. You're the attractive
Marius
man.
Wolf.
You're the slayer of
I do
women
the seducing.
throughout Sealburg. You know this number. You know what's going on, and you're not tempted either. But unless you want to be, so they both kind of do that. What are you guys doing in this moment?
Marius is going like, whoa. Then I look at Seamus real quick, and I'm like, Seamus, don't do anything dumb.
What are you doing, Seamus?
Seamus already has his shirt off.
Seamus has pulled his shirt off. So, Seamus, which one do you approach, Seamus?
I'm doing the thing.
Seamus?
I'm trying to pull my boots off. I'm hopping around the
Yep.
room.
You're pushing it, and the younger one puts your hand on your chest, Seamus, and kind of puts another one up to her lips, like almost like a shh. And the older woman, though they're not much older, that's just their what they look. That's the best I can do for description. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. The other one approaches a small kind of like shelving unit nearby, very simple kind of wooden kind of shelves, and pulls out a bottle of something and pours 2 large glasses, and then hands one to you, Marius. Do you take it?
I will take it.
Okay, and then hands one to you, Seamus.
I will take it.
All right, they both motion for you guys to drink.
All right, bottoms up.
Okay. Both of you go ahead and take me a drink. Do you guzzle it down, or you just take a sip?
Classic fashion, I guzzle.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I'd probably
Same thing.
guzzle it at this.
I
Yeah,
need
at this
both of
point.
you guys to make me endurance tests at -50.
Oh shit, poison.
Shit, I'm dead.
-50. Oh god. Let's see.
Well, I'm gonna burn a fate point on that one.
Okay. You burn your fortune point.
Yeah, sorry, fortune point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I can beat this at -50. You said endurance, right?
Yep.
Well, I rolled a 32 out of 60. Or no, out of 10.
Out of 10.
Sorry.
Okay. How about you, Seamus? What'd you end up with?
I got a 37 out of 5.
Yes. Got it. So, both of you tilted back. Seamus, you are, you're expecting this to go very well. You take a step afterwards, and the cups both quiver in your hands, and suddenly you guys can't feel your arm. Then suddenly you can't feel your other arm. And the women both look at you, just smiling. They put their kimonos back over their shoulders, and just look at both of you with their heads tilted, as your vision fades and you face plant into the mat.
Can I use my resolve to shake off the effects?
We'll see. But that's where we're going to take
Damn it.
our break for the night. So we will pick this up here in a couple minutes.